Today I want to give a history and an understanding of how the Sooner Schooner could crash and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I'm not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. I was in the press box at Owen Field as the Sooner Schooner took its customary loop around the field to celebrate the Sooners' score as the wagon got all bent out of shape in that tunnel coming out of turn 4 like stock car with no restrictor plate and took a tumble. I tweeted about it because that's what you do, and then I pulled up the Fox Sports feed on my laptop to try to catch a replay of what the hell had happened. I got Charles Thompson looking over my shoulder going, ooh, that's bad. And it was just as bad as I feared. But like you, I wanted context for what this was and how it happened, and had it happened before, after I learned no one was seriously hurt. But once it was clear that it was just the Roughnecks' pride that gave us all permission, to make jokes because it's just their pride that's hurt, I made jokes. Like you, former Roughneck and 2016 OU grad Adam Burnett tried to shed some light on how this could happen when he spoke with the OU Daily. He said this was just a fluke, and Burnett's description of the operation's preparation and humiliation of what was seen by 84,000 in person, which was our just penance and reward for watching OU stomp a mud hole in West Virginia and walk it dry 52-14, and by thousands on TV and devices. He said he'd put that exact schooner together 1,000 times. He'd painted it, he pushed it, he'd driven it. Here's a block quote from the OU Daily. When Burnett saw the wagon fall, he said there were a couple of reasons why. First, the grass was wet. Before tipping, the schooner had left marks on the field prior to the accident. Second, the horses took too sharp of a turn, and as Burnett pointed out, it's hard to control that. He said the horses took a little bit of the inside hard and to the left, and when they did that, the tongue, which is the piece of wood between the two horses, got all bent at a bad angle, and then it flipped. But the reason the horses pulled so far into the inside is because the wheels were dragging, and when those wheels were dragging, it slowed them down. What would normally be a 3-second turn turned into a 5-second turn. And you can't communicate that to a horse. Horses don't speak English. Nope, they don't, Adam. Which I guess is why PETA needed to poke its nose into this thing. I kid you not, PETA let some poor soul hit send on this tweet. Breaking. Oklahoma's horse-drawn Sooner Schooner wagon tipped over, launching Spirit Squad members onto the field. Exploiting animals for sports is unnecessary and incredibly dangerous for animals and humans. Then it tweeted at OU_football, all caps, keep horses off the field, as if a horse's natural habitat is not an actual grass field. Following a statement where OU's athletic department delivered news that no one was hurt, this statement was also released, by the university that acknowledged that it was the cameraman in the back of the wagon who had made the thing tip over. The statement read, "The Sooner Schooner tipped over today. We believe it was the result of weight distribution among riders in the rear of the wagon. 3 individuals were evaluated at the stadium and released. All others reported that they were uninjured, except, their pride. Upon initial evaluation, it also appears the ponies are uninjured. Medical staff responded immediately, as did the expert horse handlers and veterinarian who staff all games. We are grateful that the injuries were not serious and for the staff members who responded so well," end quote. In 1993, the Sooner Schooner tipped over during a game against Colorado. You heard me make reference to that on a previous upload. Here's John Rohde's description of how it happened for SoonerSports in 2014. The wagon flipped onto its right side while making its left turn on what was a horribly weathered artificial turf at the time. The mishap injured driver Scott Gibson, who suffered a broken left arm. Queen Gene Connolly lunged forward as the wagon capsized, managed to avoid a serious injury, and suffered only a bruised head. Eesh. Concussion much? Flag waiver Ryan Ray bruised his shoulder and cut his left eye when he flew out of the rear of the wagon. Neither pony was injured. The carpet was torn during the spill and temporarily bandaged with duct tape. Finally, the K.O. Gundy quarterback and number 9 ranked Sooners went on to lose 27-10 against the number 20 ranked Buffaloes. The tattered turf was replaced the following season with natural grass, a surface that has remained ever since, mercifully. Before that 93 atrocity, the Sooner Schooner picked up an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty in the 1985 Orange Bowl, I kid you not. Here's the story in the January 2nd, 1985 edition of the Sun-Sentinel with reporter Tim Rosefort doing the honors. It's not often 2 white horses and a covered wagon affect the momentum of a football game. But that's what happened Tuesday night in the Orange Bowl. At least that's the way the Oklahoma Sooners look back on their 28-17 loss to Washington. Blame it on the Sooner Schooner, which rolled onto the painted turf at the Orange Bowl to celebrate Tim Lasher's 22-yard field goal, which at the time gave Oklahoma a 17-14 lead. We've been doing that for 50 years, said Oklahoma coach Barry Switzer. It's tradition. Not this time. It was a penalty. 15 yards for non-contact, unsportsmanlike, or unhorsemanlike conduct. Added to the procedure penalty that nullified the field goal, Lasher was driven 20 yards back and tried a 42-yarder. Washington's Tim Peoples blocked that attempt, while NBC rushed Bill McAtee over to get to the bottom of the mess. We had the okay before the game. The referee signaled field goal, said Doug Madden, who is in charge of sending the covered wagon onto the playing field. That's the first time we've been penalized since 1965 for bringing the Schooner on the field. Schooner didn't debut till 64. We'll get that in a bit. You're laughing though, right? You shouldn't be. This was serious. Reporters, led by Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist Dave Anderson of the New York Times, wanted to get to the bottom of this. As the Huskies scored their 14 fourth-quarter points, a full-scale investigation was going on in the southwest corner of the Orange Bowl. What was uncovered is that Madden is president of the Roughnecks, which he calls the nation's oldest male spirit organization. Members have dressed up like cowboys since 1915, whooping it up for their Sooners. Rex Harris was the driver, Boomer on the left, Sooner, the horses with red painted hooves, were unavailable for comment. The only thing I know is that the referee signaled field goal and it was good, Madden said. I don't know why he penalized us. I wouldn't try to second guess him. All right, well, there's that. Apparently, Switzer sent word down the sidelines to put a harness on that wagon act because after Lasher kicked a 35-yard field goal to give the Sooners a 17-14 lead, the Schooner stayed in its tracks. Harris said, quote, "It was our decision," end quote, to stay off the field. And when asked if he felt like he affected the game, he said, "That's an unfair question." What might have been unfair is the illegal procedure penalty whistled against freshman offensive tackle Mark Hudson on that field goal attempt. Hudson wears number 98, a tight end's number, but plays offensive guard on the Sooners' field goal and extra points team. On Oklahoma's first 2 extra points, no penalty was called. But on the first and second field goal attempts, the referees apparently forgot that Switzer told them before the game Hudson would be wearing an illegal number. Oklahoma is used to this sort of thing. In its 15-15 tie with Texas, officials made 3 dubious calls to make sure Oklahoma did not win, or at least that the hometown Longhorns did not lose, a la, Kansas and UT earlier this week, or late last week. The officials came into the locker room before the ball game, Switzer said, and they told us we're not going to be strict on that. For 11 ball games, we've done that on field goals, and now they call it on us. That shifted the momentum back to them in the fourth quarter, said linebacker Brian Bosworth. There's not much you can do about it. The refs are going to do what they're going to do. We learned that in the Texas game. We could have used the 3 points, said center Chuck Thomas, but I can't blame the horses for going out. The wagon came out and it changed it around, said receiver Buster Rhymes. Love that name. Love that he played at Oklahoma. The first ever appearance of the Sooner Schooner was in the 1964 game against the USC Trojans, in which the Trojans dismantled the Sooners 40-14 in Norman. There's a circle the wagons joked in there somewhere, but they didn't do that. In front of 61,700, two white Shetland ponies named Boomer and Sooner gently pulled a wagon behind the end zone because OU officials feared damage to the field. John Rohde wrote an excellent feature like this, and I'm block quoting it right now. The 30-yard land run would have to wait a bit longer, as would OU's return to prominence. The Sooner Schooner was launched at the same time Gomer Jones was attempting to replace legendary coach Bud Wilkinson. Now, again, this brief history of the Sooner Schooner written by John Rohde for SoonerSports.com is strikingly detailed, and I'm going to deliver it to you now because it's just that good. Rohde is awesome. The schooner is approximately half the size of a Conestoga wagon, which was used by the pioneers while crossing the North American prairies and plains. In both name and appearance, this scaled-down version of a horse-drawn prairie wagon perfectly encapsulates the Oklahoma land rush of 1889 and essentially serves as a quick state history lesson every time OU scores. That they stole the land. Ridden and handled by the Roughnecks, an all-male student spirit squad, the ponies are aptly named Boomer and Sooner in recognition of the territory's settlers. The entire ensemble of the ponies and wagon together officially is the Sooner Schooner, which in 1980 was proclaimed a school mascot. Mick Cottom, a freshman Roughnecks member from Liberty Mounds, Oklahoma, had the distinction of being the first person to drive the Sooner Schooner that day 50 years ago. Why? Or I say 50 years ago, 55 years ago, because this feature was written in 2014. Why was Cottom chosen? In an interview for the Tulsa World in 2004, he said, "I guess I was the only one who knew how to harness the ponies. It was a big deal, but it wasn't a big deal. I got to be at the games and get my picture taken with people. When you're in the midst of things, you don't realize what's going on." True statement there, Mick. Cottom said the Sooner Schooner immediately turned heads. He said it was a novelty and the pageantry added another element of spirit. Lots of kids, maybe more so than the college students, wanted to come by and know what it was. The ponies and wagon were a gift of brothers Dr. M.S. Bartlett, administrator of Bartlett Memorial Hospital, and Charlie F. Buzz Bartlett, vice president of Bartlett Collins Glass Company of Sapulpa. Both brothers attended OU. Charlie played football in 1917 and 1918, and MS attended the OU School of Medicine from 1940 to 1942. The original pair of 3-year-old Shetland ponies stood 41 inches high and weighed roughly 300 pounds each. Offensive linemen. The wagon and harness rigging were designed especially for the Bartlett's gift and purchased from the Van Leeuwenhoek Pony Farm near Frontenac, Kansas. The first Sooner Schooner was valued at approximately $1,100. Dr. Bartlett said he had the wagon designed after the prairie schooner his parents used when they settled in northeastern Oklahoma in 1898, and that he and his brother wanted to provide OU with a mascot that symbolized the settling of Oklahoma territory and the pioneering spirit of the 89ers. Okay, we're commemorating thieves. Bartlett also was careful not to impede on the school's existing traditions. Bartlett said at the time, "We wanted everyone interested in OU football, particularly the students, to take hold of this as a symbol of Oklahoma and OU teams." The venture was several years in the making. In 1952, Dr. Bartlett first contacted the OU marching band about adding a mascot that would symbolize the 1889 Land Rush Sooners. He said later that he received no encouragement from the marching band at the time. In 1980, the university's Board of Regents adopted the Sooner Schooner as an official mascot. In 1981, Dr. Bartlett signed over trademark rights to the university at a cost of a whopping $1. It's just a trading places joke in there. In a letter to Dr. Bartlett in a letter from Dr. Bartlett on December 7th of that year, OU President William Banowski in part wrote, "This is a deeply meaningful gesture on your part, which will benefit the universities for years to come. You are a loyal and faithful Sooner who will always be remembered for your contribution to the Oklahoma tradition." I will never get such a letter from an OU president. The wagon and ponies were housed at the Bartlett Ranch outside Sapulpa until 2011 and are now cared for by the university. Boomer and Sooners are now Welsh ponies and kept at an undisclosed location. Welsh ponies are slightly taller and heavier than Shetlands. There's your equence reference. The Sooner Schooner still makes the annual trip to OU, Texas, staged at the Cotton Bowl every October. It also ventures to postseason bowl games, but due to turf concerns, the Schooner no longer is allowed on the playing surfaces anywhere other than at home games. Just please, don't let the thing fall over on national TV ever again. In a piece for ESPN's Page 2, Kieran Darcy described what it was like for him to ride in the seat reserved for the OU Roughneck Queen, following a Jason White to Mark Clayton touchdown pass and an extra point kicked. By the way, this story gets much better at the end. "There are no flags thrown on the touchdown," he wrote. "So I peeled off my black ESPN fleece, uncovering the red Sooner shirt I'd bought at the bookstore the day before. Then the Queen climbs down, I climb up, and seconds later, the ponies are sprinting onto the field. It all happens so quick. The Schooner shoots like a cannon out to midfield." I mean, this prose is purple. "And then circles around to head back. The crowd is going crazy, is it now? Though I'm sure many are wondering, where's the Queen? I mean, you're a dude. Yeah, we wonder that too, unless there's a Bohemian Rhapsody reference in there. I'm not sure what to do. I want to get up and pump my fist like a real Oklahoma fan, but I hesitate. And in the end, I just hold on to the rail and enjoy the ride and the adrenaline rush amidst the Red Sea of 80,000 fans." He was lucky enough to get a ride at all because the Sooners were in the midst of a 77-0 crushing of the Texas A&M Aggies, and the Roughnecks stopped running the Schooner and the ponies out in the third quarter. All right, that concludes our history lesson for today. Deuces.